And we're back on the build phase. I'm your host, Mr. Ben, and there are more Civil War previews, card reveals to talk about. Now, the website has not been acting very cool since I have logged in. I've had it multiple times when I've tried to click. I get a server. Either it's down for maintenance or because we're at server capacity, which, like, if there's that much traffic for a versus preview, good problems to have. But I'm going to try to get through this. We'll see if the cards decide to cooperate with me. There is a chance that they will not. So, for anybody who missed the previous preview card reveal article, this is really important text here. The best place in the multiverse to learn how to play the Versus system. This expansion is being marketed and sold to us as not only a place for new players to jump on, but as an excellent tool for existing players to grab new players and bring them in. This set is going to be our fishing line with one of the most popular Marvel stories ever told, with game mechanics and cards that are designed from the ground up to be new player friendly. Really excited if they pull this off. Now, based on preview 1, seems promising. Let's continue into preview. This is the second official release, although we did get some card reveals yesterday as part of an ad package on a YouTube video. Which, by the way, anybody who hasn't yet, go ahead and click on the Upper Deck click-through link on that video. Let's tell Upper Deck that advertising is good by giving them lots of clicks. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so these cards are simple, but still powerful, flavorful, and fun. So if you've been curious about the game, this is the place to start. I kind of touched on that already. We've already looked at Iron Man and Captain America, so let's just dive straight into She-Hulk. Please load. Sweet. Okay, I think this turns the slideshow off. We'll find out in a second if that's true. So sometimes I struggle a little with getting the slideshow turned off. She-Hulk, level 1, 256. Now, this is a stat line. If this card would have come out in A-Force, she'd be a 255. I almost guarantee it. 256. If she's defending, she gets +5 for a yellow. That's pretty good. Defense Attorney is the name. Is that a little cute? It's maybe a little cute, but that's fine. When you play Ooh. Now, I really like that her level up is called Lawyer Up. There is kind of a famous stereotype in card games of the rules lawyer, and rules lawyers tend to like playing interactive combat, like plot twists essentially in Versus. We'd call them, instants in Magic, but the idea of lawyering up, requiring you to play plot twists, I think that's a flavor. I went to use a baseball analogy and I'm drawing, it was a home run. Yes, a home run. I'm not a sports guy. Okay, so you have to play. This is not gated to the first plot twist you play. So other times in Versus where we've seen this kind of experience condition, like I'm thinking Dark Willow, it's the first time you play a plot twist on a turn, you get an experience. This lets you get experience for every plot twist. So that is good. I like that. This seems all kind of manageably playable. Again, we don't really know what the pro registration team is going to look like, so she's not winning the game on her own. Not with 2 attack. She is going to be hard to hit, and how many plot twists are you going to have? This does seem like the kind of main character I would probably enjoy playing. At level 2, she becomes a 6/6/6. Man, again, so should we interpret that sort of the new base level 2 is 6/6/6? And if one of those numbers is different, it's like they're balancing something out. But this is another character we're seeing with like the Luke Cage, like 6/6 stat line. So I guess 6/6/6 versus number of the beast. That's funny. Okay, so during the build phase, she can Hulk up. You pay a green, and when you play a plot twist this turn, she gets 2+1 counters. I mean, I don't know if the deck is going to be there. I don't know if the supporting characters and like the cast of stuff that she's going to need is going to be there. But the general concept of a deck that's like packing half plot twists, yes, please. I love those kinds of decks. I love high interactivity decks. Now, the drawback with this is Plot twists tend to be a little bit more immediately impactful, but they also cost you more. When you recruit a character, it maybe doesn't have an immediate impact, but it's a fixture on the board. Maybe not for a long time, but for some amount of time. So you're investing in something that can pay dividends over multiple turns and have kind of a compounding payoff. Plot twists do one thing one time. So while they are in the moment more powerful than keyword effects, or I mean, not always, but in general, you think about instant interaction in the terms of plot twists as being a little bit more powerful than a lot of character effects. It's a one and done, and it depletes your hand. So if you're spending 4 plot twists to level She-Hulk up, and then the payoff is that you have to play more plot twists, we're going to need 1 to see pro registration plot twists that you get excited about playing, because this character is not going to survive on generics alone. She's just not. And 2, we're going to have some kind of refill mechanic. Now, cards like Leader and other card refill, Floki, one of my favorite cards, Wyatt Wingfoot, there are all these other cards in the game that kind of refill your hand, give you additional draw. So these are tools that might work with She-Hulk, but if this is supposed to be a box that is a self-contained jumping off point for new players, you really kind of have to assume that they are going to give She-Hulk enough tools in this box in order to be competitive, and well, maybe not competitive, but playable at least. So how many card slots are we going to see in this box devoted to just plot twists? Is it enough that it's going to make her work? I mean, you look at like the Fantastic Battles last year, where you had the Fantastic Four in Fantastic Battles had no plot twists. The Frightful didn't really have enough plot twists or equipment. I mean, yeah, Impossible Man, but they didn't have the stuff necessary to even level up Doctor Doom. The Wizard so they are willing to put product out there where the expansion is not self-contained playable, or at least not self-contained playable in a fun way. But we are being told this is the best place in the multiverse to learn how to play. So I think that means we could expect to see card draw for pro registration and plot twists that are worth playing for pro registration, just on the basis of this hero. And if this hero or this main character gets those things, heck yeah, this looks awesome. I like the card art. I like She-Hulk as a character. I would have liked to see some flavor text. This is a break the fourth wall Marvel character, and we can't get a little bit of flavor text down here. Come on, guys. That's a nitpick, but still. Okay. So, we do get to see plot twists. Oh, excellent. Okay. Man, I wish they would have given us this and the other preview article all at the same time on day one. I was too excited on day one. So what kind of plot twist does her team have to play with? If only we knew. Okay, that's just flavored. Hunt them down. This might be the first piece of card art I'm not crazy about. It kind of looks a little busy. Iron Man looks a little weird. I mean, it's not bad. It's not bad. It just, most of the card art so far has been like bangers. It's been just fire card art. And this one's fine. I mean, if the worst card art we get in the set is something that's fine, that's a great set, right? Like, that's great card art. So what does he do? Each attacker on your side gets +2 attack. Okay. So if you're trying to play this as a self-contained box where you and your buddy went out and got Civil War and you're bouncing decks against each other, this seems like it was made to play right into Steve Rogers, the Captain America main character. Unless it's a ranged team attack. So we have another card that's kind of similar to this, the Heroines of Arcadia, and it has not seen much play over the years. And unless we get a lot of pro registration characters that have multiple hit points, and probably not just 2 health guys, probably like 3 health guys, so that they stick to the board turn after turn after turn, where you can not only afford to declare these not only have the option to declare these big team attacks, but you can afford to do it. So in a play situation where I maybe stick a 2-drop and on turn 3 I've got a 2 and a 3 and my main character, but you have 3 guys out on the board, do I want to commit to that team attack? Because essentially I'm committing to get like, so this, in its worst case, this is just +2 attack, which is a find cover or an open fire. This is basically an open fire. And that has seen play. That does see play. So in its worst case scenario, this is a playable, if not exciting, and maybe a little bit subpar card. I mean, I've said many times on the show that when I'm looking at combat interaction, I want to see 3. I want to see a minimum of 3 on the combat interaction in order for me to really seriously consider putting it into a deck, unless it's a deck that specifically needs, like, I'll play Let's Rock in Rogue, for instance, even though generally I think that's a bad card. So, in its worst case scenario, this is still playable, for sure. This is a playable card. In its best case scenario, this could let you get a team attack that you otherwise didn't earn. So I think the spikes, the power spikes, where this card is really going to come down and your opponent's going to go, no! Like, those are going to have to come late game. This gives you the flexibility of applying a little bit of pressure, a little bit of extra pressure with one guy early in the game, or you can have a big team attack that applies an extra 4, an extra 6, an extra 8 points of pressure late in the game, which could be the difference between getting through on that Galactus or on that 10-10 Captain America or whatever. It seems playable, not the most exciting plot twist I've ever seen. There's some words here. Let's see. In Civil War, the pro-registration squad is literally trying to detain heroes who refuse to register with the government. Yeah? Okay. Hence this card. I don't think this card needed a sentence to explain its flavor. Like, that's pretty straightforward. Good one. Yeah. Tony Stark also has plans to recruit and or train heroes to be responsible for the safety and okay, so this is the 50-state initiative. Oh, it is the 50-state initiative, of course. Build phase, draw 2 cards if there are more enemy characters on your side than on an enemy side. Oof. So if things are going poorly and your board is not building, this is a dead card. This card does nothing. Now, it doesn't say draw 2 cards. It doesn't say play only if there are more characters on your side than on the enemy side. So for the purposes of leveling She-Hulk, you could absolutely dump 4 of these out of your hand. Just boom, boom, boom. And I mean, you'd have to draw 4, obviously. But in the weird, statistically improbable situation where you draw 4 of those, you could level up She-Hulk right away. Now, you wouldn't draw any cards off that. That probably wouldn't be an ideal line of play, but you could level up She-Hulk right away. And I mean, even before you go into the main phase, which is great. I do really like this card, but this card is another thing that's just putting a little bit more pressure on you in terms of how you have to build your deck. It's a little bit more shoving you into that flood pigeonhole. Clearly, She-Hulk wants this card because she wants to throw a lot of cards from hand and you need to have ways to refill. But now look at what the deck's actually asking us to do. She-Hulk is asking us to play a bunch of plot twists, which means we have to run a bunch of plot twists. Because of that, we have to refill our hand, right? Well, the card that they're giving us, that the on-team way to refill our hand, requires us to also have board presence, which means we're going to have a deck that's like got a lot of characters so we can control the board and got a lot of plot twists so that we can level. This is starting to look really overstuffed. I'm not sure this main character is going to be competitive. At least not in like a just this box format. Once you get outside of just this box and you can throw in things like Leader and Wyatt Wingfoot and other ways to give her additional card draw, maybe even, I can't think of what the power is named, but there's that power where the first time you play a plot twist in a turn, you get to draw another card. Doesn't matter. Things like that will be open to players who aren't just playing from this box. But I do kind of want to look at this box from that perspective, since they're telling us to look at the box from that perspective. And I don't know, man. Now, if we do end up with a bunch of multi-health, low-cost characters that are also pro-registration, maybe the angle we play this is you spam out a bunch of low-cost pro-reg guys, so you have the board, and even though they're getting stunned, because they have multi-health, they're sticking around, which gives you the breathing room necessary to play 50 State Initiative. If we don't get multiple 1, 2, 3 with multiple health for pro registration, I mean, in a wide multiverse format, sure. Ooh. Dude, I love this Black Panther artwork. That looks so good. Normally I make fun of and criticize background deficient comic book art, like when the characters are for no reason and just like a white void. And shooting up, framing it up so that the clouds are the background is kind of like a little sneaky way to get away with being background deficient. But this looks cool. I like this card art a lot. So Black Panther is anti-registration. He's a 3/4/5. I don't think so. Main phase, yellow. Enemy players can't play plot twists this turn. So the correct line of play is to ask your buddy that you're trying to teach versus, what main character are you going to play? When they say She-Hulk, you grab this guy. Any card with a yellow power, you have to say Jessica Jones out loud, of course. When you play a location, Black Panther gains an XP. So the risk here, if you're not running enough locations, is that he doesn't level. And there is a world in which he just doesn't level, because rowing this says location. This doesn't say when you row a resource. This says when you play a location. So you have to have a location. It has to come down in order to give this guy experience, which also means you're not going to level up until turn 4. I guess in a world where you play Mirage could get an extra basic location out of your hand. But if you're playing Mirage in your deck, you kind of want to burn through your locations really fast. How quick are you going to do that? He's looking at a turn 3, maybe a turn 4 level up. And what do you get? You become a 7/7/5. He still has I Don't Think So, which is a great name for a power, by the way. I would like to say it'd be cool if this was like a reaction power. So you cancel the first plot twist they play and they can't play plot twists. Oh, but no, that would work on their turn. This only cancels plot twists for your turn. So this is like an expensive combat master. That's unfortunate. When I first read that, I thought it was until the start of your next turn they couldn't play plot twists, which would be crazy. I would lock She-Hulk out of the game. This isn't quite that good, and that's reasonable. The more I think about the idea of making it so your opponent can't play plot twists on your turn or their turn, and then next turn you could do it again. Oh, that would feel terrible. So once he levels up, main phase, pay a blue, ready a supporting character on your side. Cool. I mean, an extra attack can win the game sometimes. Like, that's the difference between clearing your opponent's board and not. His level up into this 7/7 could potentially be a little bit slow. Go underground. Each enemy attacker gets minus. So, before I look at that last plot twist, this one gives +2 attack. This one gives -3 defense. This one lets you draw cards if you have more of a board than your opponent. I'm going to guess On the Run lets you draw cards if you have less of a board than your opponent. Draw 2 cards if there are fewer characters on your side than on the enemy side. Okay. I like this one a lot better. It is way easier to have less cards in play than your opponent than it is to have more. Now, if your opponent knows you're on this and they know you, maybe they play around that. Maybe instead of underdropping 2 characters, they choose to play one big thing. Like, that could influence how your opponent chooses to play their turn. In the grand scheme of the card pool, though, often when you shift your play strategy, you distort your play strategy to play around one thing your opponent might do, you end up weakening your overall deck. Like, in most cases, you want to play whatever your best card is. You want to play whatever your best line is. So if the better play is to underdrop, it's possible you underdrop, they play this and they draw 2 dead cards. So you kind of always have to do what's best for you, but this is more, I think, play aroundable than this one. The 50 State Initiative is way more under your control as the player playing this plot twist. You get to decide if you're going to flood the board. Now, your opponent could, yes, choose to play out a wider board. But you play out too many cards, like the danger of holding back a resource versus vomiting it out to the board, I think overplaying is a bigger danger. So, what do we have? Thank you, Rob. I thought that was a nice way to sum that up. Yeah, expensive combat master. So I also think it's funny that here we have Go Underground, which gives -3 attack, and this one only gives +2 attack, which feels like the old find cover open fire shenanigans. I never liked that open fire was +2 and find cover was +3. I always felt like they should both be +3. Kind of feel similarly here, but I will acknowledge that the ability to stack those +2s gives this such a higher ceiling that it makes a lot more sense to make this a +2. And if your opponent knows you're on anti-registration, they're probably going to be gun shy of team attacks. If you're playing Captain America, they're probably going to be gun shy of team attacks anyway. So this one, in this situation, I think if you aren't going to make these cards just mirror images of each other, making Go Underground have the -3 and Hunt Them Down have the +2 does make more sense. But I think these probably could have just been identical and it would have been fine. Maybe not. I don't know. It is funny to me that they're trying to kind of do like opposite sides of the coin, not only with the characters, but also with the plot twists. So is this gimmick gonna play out for an entire set? I don't know. Like, there might come a point where we've seen enough of these cards and it's like, oh, we see the 2-drop for Pro Reg. Just invert what it does, and that is the 3-drop for Anti-Reg. I have a lot more faith in Danny and Ben than it coming to that. But I could see you decide that this kind of two opposite sides of the coin thing is going to be the theme of your set. And there are times where that can, just in terms of deck building, like if you think about building a deck, you don't go all in on your Ultrons necessarily. You add other things, you have other flavors mixed into that deck to make a really cool, exciting, fun deck. And I feel like that's what we're going to see in this set. I do like the parody. These are basically the same plot twist, but they have opposite types of requirements. I think that's cool. I don't know if I'm going to think it's cool if we have 100 cards doing this and we have 100 cards doing the inverse of that. Like there's a point at which I think that would start to be like tedious, but we're not there yet at all. I like all these cards. I think all these cards are playable. I'm a little worried about She-Hulk's actual competitive viability, particularly in this pro anti-registration format that's coming up. It seems like the existence of Black Panther might kind of close her out a little bit. Although, since this only affects the turn of the player who's playing it and it doesn't reach into the opponent's next turn, probably she could still survive. I think these are fun cards. It's really hard to gauge how competitively viable they are because the way these teams are being presented to us, they seem extremely dependent on whatever their support kit is going to be, and we just haven't seen enough of it to make those determinations. But in a vacuum, all these cards seem like they have applications. I can envision places where I would want to play these. I want to play this guy just for the card art, honestly. I really like this Black Panther card art. And I like that the Go Underground on the run cards feel slightly stronger to me than the pro registration cards because I am Team Captain America all the way. All right, guys, I think that's going to be it for today's card review. If we get more like sneak attack spoilers somewhere else, I will absolutely hop on them as quick as I can. Given that this says the box isn't coming out until June, I think we've got plenty of time. I suspect they're going to slow roll the spoilers a little bit since they whiffed on that release date. But I will see you guys on the next stream or the next podcast, wherever we see you again. All right, go win some games.